Hello, my beautiful friends. I hope you have had an amazing weekend. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today because I have a secret that I need to share with you. I need to tell you that there is a secret thing that can improve your hormones, support weight loss, boost your immune system, improve your mood, sharpen your thinking, lower inflammation, and help your body repair itself. Don't tell anybody, but it's free. Guess what it is? Sleep. Yeah. Sleep is so underestimated, and it's usually the first thing that we sacrifice when life gets busy. But let me give you a few reasons why we should not do that, okay? I've got some notes here. So, a little bit about why sleep is so important. So first of all, sleep is not just doing nothing, okay? That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, is that people think that when we sleep, our body just shuts down. We just sleep. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Actually, when you're sleeping, your body is really working hard for you. So it's super crazy, but your brain, when you go to a certain stage of sleep, when you go to deep sleep, your brain actually slightly shrinks, and there's a glymphatic system. Like you have a lymph system, right? Your lymph nodes, you've probably heard of that. That's a lymphatic. Put a G in front of that. A glymphatic system that actually washes over your brain and takes the trash out. It removes any of the toxins that have accumulated throughout your day. And so your brain has its own housekeeping service, and you literally get brainwashed every night, assuming you hit deep sleep. Pretty important stuff. Memory and learning, that's another big one. All of your short-term memories get moved, rearranged, filed, and stored appropriately for long-term storage while you're sleeping. Have you ever noticed how after a really good night's sleep, things just seem to be a little more clear? That's probably why. So your brain goes into that organized file store mode while you're sleeping and puts all the things in all the right places. Hormone regulation. This one's huge, especially for women. Cortisol, your stress hormone, growth hormone, insulin, which is, how your body's managing the sugar that you consume, carbs that become sugar, and leptin and ghrelin. And those are the two hormones that tell you that you're hungry or that you're satiated. Pretty important stuff. I talk to people all the time about wanting to lose weight, and let me tell you something, if you skip out on your sleep, that's one of the hardest hit areas, is those hormones being balanced properly or responding properly. If you don't get enough sleep, the next day you will eat somewhere between 20 to 25% more calories than you would have if you have gotten proper night's sleep. There's been multiple studies to show that. It's really kind of crazy. So all the hormones that I mentioned, when your sleep suffers, the hormones can be a little dysregulated. It makes us hungrier, makes us stress easier, and it makes us less able to manage blood sugar in the body. So pretty important. Physical repair, also pretty important. Your immune system, your exercise, your stress levels, any kind of illness that you might be having going on. Sorry, there's hummingbirds like flying right in my face. If you get into a good solid night's sleep, your body goes in and makes repairs to cells, tissues, muscles, all the things. Your body goes into healing mode. In a nutshell, is what happens when you sleep. All right, immune system. It also uses sleep as an opportunity to strengthen and coordinate defenses. If you're fighting an illness, if you felt exhausted when you've been sick, it's because your body's asking you to rest more so that it can get all those immune responses to go in all the right places. All right, inflammation regulation. This one's really big, especially important for many of us. Your inflammation levels get regulated while you're sleeping. So if we constantly get poor sleep, then the inflammatory markers typically go up. if you regularly have blood work done, you can almost tell whether you've been sleeping well or whether you have not by looking at your inflammatory markers. If you're constantly not sleeping well and your inflammation does go up, you'll probably see brain fog, you'll see joint pain, fatigue, of course. Over time, that can contribute to a whole variety of chronic situations that you then have to work a little harder to undo. Okay, so let's reframe wellness here. Let's reframe sleep. What if your body is not lazy when it's asking for rest? What if it's very smart, very wise, and it's asking you to do that because that is exactly what it needs? It needs to go into rest and repair mode. Okay, so why do we struggle with sleep? Because most of us do. Most people that I talk to struggle with sleep. Welcome to 2026, right? Modern life, stress, schedules, work, artificial lighting, any kind of caffeine issue. If you drink caffeine after lunch, a lot of people that can really impact. Constant stimulation. I mean, it's just all the things, right? Life. It doesn't necessarily help us right into a good night's sleep. So what do we do to try to sleep better? So these are just practical tips. I'm not telling you to go out and buy anything. I did say in a couple of previous videos that you can take magnesium glycinate. That will help you sleep, and that is something that you could go buy. But these are some tips that don't require you to spend any money. All right, so I'm going to start with the big one. If you only do one, this is the one, and it is morning sunlight. And I know that sounds completely off the wall, like morning and sunlight is about as far away from sleep as you can get. I'm telling you, it's magic. It teaches your brain, okay, time to wake up, time to get into this daytime rhythm. And then in the evenings, you dim the lights about an hour before you plan to go to bed, and your body learns, right? Your body appreciates regularity. So if you just go outside in the morning for 5 to 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be long, and you don't have to jump out of bed and like race out the door either. Stick your head out the window like a crazy person. Not required. For me, I get up in the morning, handle your morning business, go to the coffee pot, fix a nice pot of coffee, feed the dog, and then when it's time to step outside and let the dog out, I take my cup of coffee and just stand on the deck. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It doesn't take much. And over time, your body understands that you're teaching it. You're teaching it rhythm, okay? Speaking of regularity, if you create a sleep window, so it doesn't have to be timed down to the minute, but if you go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time each day, then your body picks up on this predictability, right? So I'm sure you've probably heard people say we're creatures of habit. Yeah, okay, and it's because it's biological. Your body understands what's expected when things are predictable. So I mentioned earlier, you can dim the lights. If you're going to go to bed in about an hour, then instead of leaving all the lights on full-blown maximum fluorescent, retina singe mode, you can turn them down, turn some of them off, throw a handkerchief over the lampshade. I don't know, dim them somehow. If you don't have any of the fancy bells and whistles, they actually sell light bulbs now where you can take the blue light out, you can control it with Alexa, you can do all the magical things, right? Just dim the lights so that it's not so bright. And you can even create like a wind down routine. You don't have to, and it doesn't have to be all regimented and obsessive, but even if you just get into a habit, every evening before you go to bed, you turn the lights down a little bit, you take a nice shower, you turn on some music, shut the screens, and just relax for a few minutes, and then go to bed, right? It can be that simple. Reading, if prayer, if that's something that you do, journaling, breath work, anything. It's just, if you create a rhythm, if you create predictability, your body learns, oh, it's time for this now. Got it. Caffeine, I also already said something about that, but some people definitely have I guess I'm going to say a lower tolerance to later caffeine. So caffeine after lunch for some people will still impact their bedtime, even if you're talking about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So pay attention to that. If you are not sure if you're one of those people, try going without for a few days and see if you get better sleep. You don't have to go without all day. I'm saying not after lunch. Try it and see. Swap out your caffeine for like matcha or green tea or something where it's lighter instead of, super mega dose energy drinks or super strong coffee. Just try something different and see how you feel. Just notice what you notice. Eating too late also will impact your sleep. This is one that I struggle with sometimes, depending on my schedule, depending on what's going on. Everybody has, 1,000 things going on and life is busy. But if you eat within even 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours of bedtime, depending on how big the meal was, it can impact your sleep because your body is still focused on digestion. And so your body, anytime you put something in there, your body has to process it, right? It can't just let it sit in your stomach. I'll deal with that tomorrow. No. If you gave it something, it has to deal with it, right? So if you eat really close to bedtime, then your body is going to be putting all of its energies into digesting that meal. It has to digest it, process it, take it apart, take the pieces, put them where they need to go. It's not just, I'll just eat a little something and then go to bed. Try not to do that. In fact, try not to eat if it's dark out, because your melatonin goes up, and so your body's ability to process food goes down, and it impacts your sleep. Try not to eat within several hours of bedtime. Okay? So the last thing is your sleeping space, your bedroom. You can call it sleep hygiene, if you will. Try not to have super bright lights. Don't put the TV in there. Cool temperature. That's huge for me. If the temperature is too warm, no sleep for me. So I have to make sure that the temperature is right. The room is nice and dark, relatively quiet. Maybe, there's limits on what we can do for that, but try to create a space that will nurture good sleep in your sleeping space. Okay? So the other thing is sometimes you can find some different things. This stuff, it's called U-Sleep, and it's a bedtime tonic, and it's kava. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it is got GABA in it. It's got lemon balm in it. It's got theanine in it. It's got some different things. It does have a little bit of melatonin in it. So this is one of those drinks where it's kind of odd. It almost makes your tongue tingly, but you can fix it all up like you can imagine that you're having a glass of wine, but it's not wine. It's not alcohol, which will also jack up your sleep. Should have said that. Your deep sleep and your REM sleep will be impacted by at least 5%. One drink. That's all it takes. It doesn't help me at all. These other more natural kind of ways, even just something warm in the evening, a nice cup of wine down, right? It doesn't even hardly matter what it is, as long as it's not caffeine or alcohol. You can teach your body that this signals we're going to go to bed soon. So it's amazing. So it's not about finding a perfect supplement. It's not about going out and spending a bunch of money on fancy drink blends or anything like that. The newest trend, the latest craze. None of that's really necessary. You can set yourself up for a really good night's sleep, give your body a chance to heal and repair without spending a dime. Just make some simple tweaks. It's typically almost always about returning back to the fundamentals, understand what they are, slowly begin to implement them over time, and instead of just saying, I'm feeling kind of groggy or a little fatigued, I should just push through. Maybe not. Maybe you should listen to what your body's trying to ask you for. Why are you feeling fatigued? Why is your body asking for more rest? So maybe the right question would be, how do I support the processes that my body needs right now? Maybe it's more rest. So the little reframe here, sleep is not losing time. Sleep is active healing. So your sleep is very important. And as this weekend comes to a close, I hope you get an amazing night's sleep before we return to work tomorrow. With love and good energy, I will talk to you all next time. Thank you.